Hi guys, some of you have requested a new updated AoE rotation video after the recent buffs. So today I want to go over a regular priority list in AoE situations as well as a priority list during Serenity. At the end of the video I'll show a demonstration on how I deal damage on some dummies, but let's get started with the priority list. The priority list that I'm using is from Peak of Serenity. It looks quite comprehensive, but actually in practice is a lot easier to follow. I'll share the link of the guide in the description so you can read all the tips and tricks in your own time, but let's get started. So for example, the first priority is actually something that we no longer use in Mythic Plus situations or in high AoE situations. Jade Firestomp is a talent that we now only use in single target or in cleave situations. So in AoE situations, most people no longer play with it. If you play with it, always make sure that you have it on the as a debuff on the target and maintain it. Our highest priority is Dance of the Chi-Ji. Dance of the Chi-Ji was buffed by an additional 100% in the recent buffs, so now does an additional 300% extra damage on your spinning crane kick. On top of that, of course, your spinning crane kick is free. Always use this as soon as you get the proc, because you cannot get two procs of it. So you're potentially wasting a proc if you're sitting on the buff in that matter. So always try to use it as soon as possible. Your Strike of the Windlord is something that you want to use as soon as it's off cooldown. It does a ton of damage both in single target as in AoE situations. So make sure that you're using Strike of the Windlord as soon as you get it up. If you're playing with Boneless Brew, use spinning crane kicks as much as possible during your window, because your spinning crane kick refunds 1 chi when striking enemies with Boneless Brew active. So this becomes a very high priority when you have Boneless Brew. If you don't play with Boneless Brew, then of course priority becomes a bit less important. Moving on to Fist of Fury, on the next priority, try to use Fist of Fury with as much transfer the power stacks as you can. So if we look at the talent Transfer the Power, this can potentially increase your Fist of Fury by an additional 30%, which is a ton of damage, definitely in AoE situations, of course. You can get these stacks by using Blackout Kick or Rising Sun Kick. I'll show on a dummy how that works. If you see that you're using Rising Sun Kick, I can get 1 stack. But if I'm using Blackout Kick, you can see I actually get 3 stacks. And the reason for that is that we have this talent, Shadow Boxing Threads, but also Teaching of the Monastery, which can potentially give you a lot more Transfer the Power stacks, which of course increases your damage by a lot more for your Fist of Fury. So try to always get high amount of those stacks before you're hitting your Fist of Fury. So you can see that with just 2 Blackout Kicks, I get 8 stacks. So that's quite a lot. Other than that, it's the same goes for Mark of the Crane. Mark of the Crane is a bit the same as Transfer the Power, except that you can also get it also from Tiger Palms. With Blackout Kick hitting multiple targets, you can get Mark of the Crane stacks quite easily now. So try to maintain 5 stacks of Mark of the Crane as much as possible, because this potentially increases your damage by a lot. This means that Blackout Kick actually becomes a very high priority in AoE situations. You can see, for example, in this damage breakdown that Blackout Kick and Spinning Crane Kick deals a ton of damage in Mythic Plus situations. I think this is actually also maintaining this damage that I just did, but just to visualize that Blackout Kick and Spinning Crane Kick are your highest priorities and will deal the most amount of damage, while Fist of Fury is actually most of the time either on the 3rd place or on the 4th place. Moving back to the priority list, so the Swirling Dragon Punch is something that no one plays. It's not a good talent to go for, so I'm going to skip that one. Like I mentioned, Blackout Kick is a very high priority after your Fist of Fury. And your Rising Sun Kick is something that you basically never really use, except in situation where you're in a AoE situation of just 4 targets or lower. Then you can use Rising Sun Kick, but only after you've done Fist of Fury. So you have the crit buff in that sense. That's about it for the priority list. It's actually quite easy in practice. It looks quite comprehensive, but it's actually quite easy to follow. And during Serenity, it becomes even easier. You can see that most of our priority list is actually quite the same in Serenity than without Serenity, except for that Fist of Fury becomes a bit less high priority. So Spinning Crane Kick with Dance of the Chi-Ji is still the first thing that you always want to make sure that you're using. Same goes for Strike of the Windlord, and same goes for Spinning Crane Kick with Boulder Brew. So nothing's changed here. The thing that has changed is that Fist of Fury becomes a bit less of an interesting ability because you never fully channel Fist of Fury during Serenity. So, like I mentioned here, Fist of Fury only when you have 10 stacks and 6 blocks targets, then you can use Fist of Fury, but you always clip it. So you never fully channel the whole Fist of Fury ability. And the other sort of priority is actually Blackout Kick, and then it becomes Spinning Crane Kick. So during Serenity, you become almost like a spin bot. So you use Blackout Kick to generate, or you don't even have to generate chi, sorry. You just use Blackout Kick to make sure that you're generating the mark of crane stacks. And then you use Spinning Crane Kick to just deal a ton of damage. The Blackout Reinforcement is something that you always get after Spinning Crane Kick during Serenity, because it's a free Spinning Crane Kick because it doesn't require any chi. So I'll show you a little bit on how that works. You'll see on this side of the screen whenever I get the Blackout Reinforcement buff. So if I, for example, use Spinning Crane Kick right now, I don't get it because it's not free. If I use Serenity and I use it, you can see that I get the buff. If I use it again, I get the buff. And so on and so on. So during Serenity, you become a bit like a Blackout Kick, Spinning Crane Kick bot. And then whenever you have Strike of the Windlord up, you use it. And when you're close to 10 stacks, you can use your Fist of Fury and you clip it right after with, for example, a Spinning Crane Kick or a Blackout Kick. One thing that you want to make sure during Serenity is that you have Fist of Fury up at the last second or so of Serenity. So you can utilize the full damage on Fist of Fury from Serenity in that matter. So you're basically moving out of Serenity while you're channeling Fist of Fury. I'll show you in the next clip on how I deal damage in AoE situations with some commentary. Alright, let's have a look at the short clip of the rotation on some target dummies. Before I start the clip, I want to talk about 3 things. First, never use the same ability twice in a row. Because of our mastery and the hit combo talent, we are not able to use the same ability twice in a row, or it potentially decreases our damage output. Even during Serenity, you don't want to start spamming Spinning Crane Kick, for example. Always use a different ability in between. Secondly, you're able to use different abilities during your Spinning Crane Kick channels without cancelling out the damage of Spinning Crane Kick. This sounds super complicated, but it's actually quite easy. Whenever you see me start using Spinning Crane Kick, you'll see the channel go off, but I can use Strike of the Windlord or Blackout Kick or Tiger Palm or whatsoever in between without cancelling out the channel. Don't wait for the full channel to be completed before using a different ability, because you're potentially losing some damage. The only abilities that cancel out the Spinning Crane Kick channels are other channel abilities, such as Fist of Fury. So you see me during the video use Strike of the Windlord and Blackout Kicks in between those casts without cancelling the damage. Thirdly, very important to maintain 5 stacks of Mark of the Crane before you pop Serenity and all your other cooldowns, because you want to make sure that you have those 5 stacks before you're really using your big burst. You'll see in the clip that before I use the Serenity, I start using some Blackout Kicks on different targets, and I try to maintain those 5 stacks as much as possible. this potentially increases your damage output by a ton. So I'm gonna start the clip right now. You see me use a few blackout kicks before and then burst with all my cooldowns. I'll start with the Strike of the Windlord, and then I move into a very simplistic rotation of spinning crane kick, blackout kick, spinning crane kick, blackout kick. And then when I have very high stacks of transfer the power, then I can use, for example, a Fist of Fury. And whenever Strike of the Windlord is back up, I'll use that again. Outside of Serenity, you move in the very simple rotation that I've just explained. Have a look. I hope you enjoy. Make sure you subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.